everybody, it's almost Passover time, and I bet you think you know what I'm gonna make in this kitchen. You think I'm gonna make gefilte fish and matzo balls. Well, you're wrong. Today I'm gonna make two Passover dishes that you probably never thought could exist. We're gonna be making matzah lasagna and apricot matzo balls as a side dish. See how I got those matzo balls in there? It's not Passover without matzo balls. The reason we don't eat leavened products is that historically the Jews left Egypt to begin what we now know is the Exodus. And they didn't have time for their bread to rise, so they ended up eating this really plain, flat cracker. That's where matzah comes from. Lasagna is one of those foods that I love year-round. So how do we make that for Passover if we can't use pasta? Well, enter matzah. It can be used as a substitute for pasta, and I'm gonna show you how. Making a matzah lasagna is very similar to making a regular lasagna. You wanna fill it with whatever you would normally fill a lasagna with. So, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slice potatoes thin, and I'm gonna actually saute them with some sliced onion. As any Jew of Eastern European descent will tell you, the onion is like, we eat them like apples, the Eastern European Jews. And the only thing that makes onion better is garlic. It's time to saute the potatoes and onions, which is the filling for our lasagna. What else do you like to put in a lasagna? Well, I have some delicate broccolini, I have some fresh Italian parsley, and I have some frozen kale, which if you don't tell your children, they'll think that it's spinach, which they will eat because it's spinach and not kale. How you make your filling, it's really up to you. I'm just gonna dice some of this broccolini. Also, it doesn't have to be precise. It's gonna all get cooked and mushed up in there with the cheese and all that good stuff. You're probably thinking, what cheese do you use? Well, there are many kosher for Passover cheeses, or you can use any cheese you want if you wanna make matzah lasagna year-round. I'm using a shredded vegan variety, but that's just because I'm vegan. I also happen to have made vegan ricotta. Not difficult, tastes good, it can be used for Passover. I'll include the recipe below. Basically, you soak nuts in water and they become kind of soft. You put them in a blender with a little olive oil, a little lemon juice, and a little garlic, and it becomes fluffy like ricotta cheese. If you choose to make a ricotta, or you can also use ricotta, you can mix it with chopped kale or chopped spinach. Here it comes. Ready? Ready? Whee! The great thing about this recipe is you can also customize it depending on what you like. If you like bell peppers, put them in there. You want mushrooms? I don't care. Now I'm gonna add the broccoli and the parsley to the potatoes and the onions to complete the filling. Whee! It is time to start assembling our lasagna. That wasn't so hard, was it? No. The first thing you do in making lasagna is not to put the matzah down or the pasta down. You actually lay some sauce in so that it doesn't stick to the pan. Here's the very technical way to make sure it gets over everything. This is the Manischewitz matzah that I have eaten pretty much my whole life. Every single Passover, this was what was on the table. And for the entire holiday of Passover, which is 8 days long, I live on this matzah. And I'm really thrilled to be able to turn it into something as modern and funky as this here lasagna. So it looks like if I had used a bigger pan, I could have used 2 whole pieces of matzah. Instead, I'm gonna use 1 and about 3/4. There it is. We're gonna cover it with a little more sauce. Now it's time for cheese. We're gonna sprinkle some mozzarella or mozzarella substitute, whatever works for you. I use my hands just because that's how I do. I'm gonna sprinkle some of the ricotta. Ooh. That looks pretty. I used about half the filling, and now we're gonna create the second layer, which involves, you guessed it, more Manischewitz matzah. Not using my hand, trying to redeem myself from looking like such a wilde chaya, which means wild beast, which is my nickname as a child. That's Yiddish. Let's see what kind of home I came from. And on top, I'm gonna do 1 more layer of sauce and a little more mozzarella I'm gonna cook this at 425 for about 50 minutes. Then I'm gonna take the foil off and let the rest of it kind of broil and get gooey. That is matzah lasagna. Now that we've made our matzah lasagna and it is baking in the oven, let's make matzo balls, but as a side dish. Now, I know what you're thinking. Matzo balls are like the most typical Jewish food, the most Passover-friendly food, the food that every single supermarket puts out for every single Jewish holiday because they think we eat matzo balls all the time. We kind of do. I used Manischewitz matzo ball mix, which you can use as well. You can veganize matzo balls if you want. You don't have to if you don't want. Matzo balls is one of those classic recipes that reminds me of my childhood, my grandmother, my family, holidays, togetherness. But I love that there are ways to modernize this dish so that you're bringing tradition into the modern world. It's fantastic. Let's make matzo balls as a side dish. I'm gonna be making matzo ball tzimmus. Now, tzimmus is a general word that kind of means mishmash in Yiddish. Tzimmus is usually made of root vegetables. It's a bunch of root vegetables cut up. They're usually baked in the oven with some olive oil and some garlic. I'm gonna make an apple juice, diced apricot jam sauce. Then I'm gonna saute matzo balls with beets and carrots, and then we're gonna put those two together and it's gonna be delicious. We already have our matzo balls, which my mother actually helped me make. She didn't help me. I'm totally lying. My mother made these matzo balls. That is her contribution to this video, and I totally was gonna take credit. Thank you, Mom, for making these matzo balls. They're a little bigger than I wanted, but such is life. Let's prep the tzimmus part of our matzo ball side dish. As I mentioned, tzimmus involves root vegetables. This is the part where this apron is gonna get filthy because beets, woo! Beets need to be roasted, so they're gonna fog up my glasses. Ooh, is it hot in here or am I roasting beets? Beets need to be roasted for about 45 minutes if they're small and adorable like this, or closer to an hour and 15 if they're larger like this. I can't pick them up because they're really hot. This looks like blood. I'm pretty sure it's not. I am a doctor, but not that kind. You're probably thinking, what's with those weird little beets? These are golden beets. And whenever I say golden beets, my sons go, golden beets, golden beets, golden. When you're making tzimmus, you want to make sure that things are pretty uniform in size and not too big. Some people like a larger tzimmus. I'm more of a bite-sized tzimmus person. What's another root vegetable that is common to include in tzimmus is carrots. Now the thing with carrots, you can pre-roast them because they're hard, as other root vegetables are, or you can dice them on the smaller side and plan to put them in first so that they have more time to get cooked. I'm gonna dice up these apricots. Don't really have much to say about apricots. I'm just gonna dice them. It's okay for these to be irregularly diced. It's kind of really up to your mouthfeel. That's right, mouthfeel. Some people like to have foods that are all uniform, and other people like to have kind of a variety of mouthfeels. I'd like to set a record for how many times I say mouthfeel in a video. To make the apricot sauce, we're gonna start with the apple juice. Let that get a little hot. We're gonna add the preserves. This is half a cinnamon stick. Bloop. And those are the diced apricots. As the sauce is cooking, it will boil down and get a little bit thicker in consistency. It's one of the things that happens if you slowly simmer something. The water content will evaporate and you're left with a thicker sauce. While that is doing its dance, I'm gonna start sautéing the matzo balls with the root vegetables. This is vegan margarine. Wee. Root vegetables, matzo balls. Okay, so we have sautéed the matzo balls with the root vegetables. The sauce is cooling, and now I'm gonna make it look as pretty as I can. There's a matzo ball. This is some of the tzimmus that we're gonna put on top, and then we're gonna dress them with a little bit of the sauce. Yeah, the sauce thickened a little bit. It's still not super thick. Now it's looking a little prettier. I know what you're thinking. Put a mint sprig on that. Okay. All right. A modern twist on an old world recipe. Matzo ball tzimmus with apricot sauce. We have our matzo ball apricot side dish. What about the main course? It's time to take the matzo lasagna out of the oven. Oh. Yes. There it is. I'm feeling really proud right now. Thank you, Manischewitz, for inspiring me to take old traditions, which are so important to me, and transform them into something new and modern, which I cannot wait to share with all of my guests at Passover. In addition, if you don't feel like making elaborate dishes, you can also keep in mind that Manischewitz now has almond butter, cashew butter, and hazelnut butter, all of which are kosher for Passover. So if you want to put that with my favorite snack, Tom Tums, that's a wonderful Passover snack as well. Or just serve that to your guests and see what happens. Make sure to go to the link below to get a Manischewitz coupon, and I will also post the recipes below in case you want to try them for yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and now I really want to eat this lasagna. Oh, still crunchy. Very important. It's hot. Everybody's like, it's cheese. Of course it's going to be delicious. Well, yes, that's true. Oh, super hot. It's really good. It's so good.